Okay, guys, now we're gonna carry on with the story. Let's read here. What tools do astronauts use? A space shuttle is a giant toolbox. It holds tools such as computers. Usually people regard space shuttles as a giant toolbox because it is filled with tools, like the computers. These computers help fly the space shuttle. So that the space shuttle would move, it needs computers, which the pilot usually uses to move the space shuttle. Astronauts use robot arms to move things. To move things, astronauts use something called the robot arm. This is the robot arm. And people outside the shuttle. So that things would move outside the shuttle, there is something called the robot arms that is used. On spacewalks, spacesuits keep astronauts safe. Now, when there are walks in the space, the suits help keep the astronauts safe. Why do you think it helps keeps them safe? Because of the oxygen tank. See here the oxygen tank? This is one of the reasons, by the way. It helps them breathe. Now open to page 68. The crew's special job. Eileen Collins and her crew, her group or her team, had a special job to do. They took an X-ray telescope. They took this telescope into space with them. First, they tested the telescope. They would test it. Next, they flipped some switches and let the telescope go into space. First, you know what telescope is. The telescope is the instrument that is used to make things look nearer. Let's say there's something that is far and you want it to look closer, nearer. You use the telescope. This X-ray telescope, Eileen Collins would take it into the space with her team. Next, they flipped some switches and let the telescope go into space. Then the telescope used its rockets to fly higher into space. The rockets of the telescope would be used to fly higher, to go higher in the space. Did the astronauts do other jobs too? Yes. We said that there would be astronauts who would fly in the space shuttle or do experiments. They did experiments as well with plants and exercise machines. They were studying life without gravity. They also study the life. How is it without gravity? Without something that is pulling you down. Gravity helps pull people down. This is what makes us standing or what makes us uh, on the ground without flying. If there's no gravity, people would fly and everything in earth would fly. Gravity helps things stay on ground, okay? So that's why in space things are flying. There's no gravity. When there was some time to rest, the astronauts could look out their window. In their free time, they would look out the window and they saw Earth from many, many miles away. They would see Earth very far. Now let's look at the last page. Would you like to fly into space? Do you like math and science? Do you like to visit new places? Do you like fast roller coasters? Astronauts do too. If you're a person who is into math and science, who likes to explore new places, who likes roller coasters, congratulations, you have something in common with astronauts. And you can be an astronaut one day, just like Eileen Collins. Let's quickly revise the story with some key points. First, we started it with the space shuttle. We said the space shuttle is used to go trips in the space. Who's inside the space shuttle? The astronaut. Who are the astronauts? They are the people who go into space. There are the astronauts who fly in the space shuttle, like these astronauts, or there are the astronauts who do experiments. They look for problems, remember, and try to fix them. They discover things, they prove things. If we look closer into the space shuttle, you would find computers, you'd find objects that are held in the space shuttle. And we also talked about one of the astronauts. She did some remarkable accomplishments. We said her name is, you remember her name, Eileen? It's good to remember her. She's well known for being the first pilot woman, okay, and she was the first leader of a team. And lastly, we talked about Eileen taking telescopes with her to the space trips. The telescopes are called the X-ray telescopes, okay, to help observe things in the space. Now let's look into the questions that were posted to you. We're going to answer them together. If you already answered it, just check the answers. The first question was, how do astronauts get to space? So this is the first thing we talked about. How do astronauts get to space? They go into space on a space shuttle. The space shuttle is used to go into space. We said we do not use airplanes, we do not use cars, we do not use anything. We use only space shuttles. Who uses it? The astronauts to go to space. The second question says, what is an astronaut? An astronaut is a person who goes into space. This is the definition of an astronaut. An astronaut is who? Is the person who goes into space. Who is Eileen Collins? She is an astronaut and the first woman to be a space shuttle pilot. Right? We said that she's an astronaut, and something special about her is that she was the first to be a space shuttle pilot. Question number 4 says, how do astronauts move in space? We say they float everywhere in the space shuttle. They move in the space shuttle. Question number 5, the last one, how is space different than Earth? It was mentioned in the text that there is no up and down, there is no air, and the sun always shines. Just add here the sun after that. The sun always shines. This is how the space differs from the Earth. The sun is always shining, there is no up and down, and there is definitely no air. That's all for the story. Thank you.